Hello Year 9, this is Miss Huswaite. I'm here to take you through what is going to happen with PE and options you have related to studying PE moving into Key Stage 4. Now, the first thing to mention before I go through the various options is about the fact that you will have core PE. So everybody will have 2 hours of normal core PE every single week, and this is regardless of whether you choose an option or not. Okay, part of our offer to you in part of the requirements of the national curriculum is everybody has at least 2 hours a week, and this is obviously what we plan to give you. It will follow the same as what you've kind of had in Year 9, where we have the 3 different pathways to choose between and different sports to focus on each term, and everybody is entitled to that. Now, on top of that, you can choose to then study PE, and what I'm going to do now is go through the 2 options that we have available to you, but it's important to note that these are in addition to the core PE. So everybody will have the standard 2 hours of PE. If you decided to choose to study either GCSE PE or the Cambridge National, that would be an additional 2 to 3 hours a week. Okay, so for those of you that are really keen on sport, that I'm sure sounds wonderful to you. So before I do actually go into the options, it's important to note that on your preferences form, it will just say that you are choosing to study sport. You can put a preference down as to whether you want that to be GCSE PE or the Cambridge National in Sports Science. But what I need to make clear is that we will decide along with you and talking to your PE teachers as to which of the courses we feel is most suitable to you. And this is purely based predominantly on practical activity. And as I go through the 2 courses, hopefully you will see that. So the first one we'll look at is the GCSE in PE. So why study GCSE PE? Now, the course itself is designed to allow you to study physical education in an academic setting. It allows you to critically analyse and evaluate physical performance and apply your experience of practical activities in developing your knowledge and understanding of the subject. Now, you should choose GCSE PE if you are both interested in sport and you are actively performing or playing at least one sport to a good regular standard. Now, the reason that's important is because in GCSE PE, as you'll see in a moment, you are assessed in your ability to play sport. Okay, you will get higher marks and stand a better set of getting higher marks if you are playing and performing at least one of those sports on a regular basis outside of school. Okay. GCSE PE itself can take you on to study PE further, so maybe A-level PE or BTECs or Cambridge Nationals at level 3, so going into sixth form or college. It can take you on to look at different sports science related courses as well, and also other related subject areas. So you might find that you enjoy the sports psychology side or the sports sociology or biology, and potentially you can look at those as well. You'll also develop transferable skills. They're in demand at higher education and further education and from employers as well. So a really good course for sort of making lots of links. We do lots of cross-curricular links in PE, particularly with science and maths, physics, biology. This course, it will hopefully make you confident, independent in your thinking, and can make you an effective decision maker, predominantly being able to work as an individual and as a part of a team. So how are you going to be assessed? So in essence, GCSE PE is divided into 60% theory and 40% practical. Okay, the 60% theory is divided into 2 papers. So we have the Applied Anatomy and Physiology and Physical Training, which makes up paper 1, and you will sit an exam for 1 hour at the end of the 2 years based on that topic, and that'll be worth 30% of your final grade. The second paper is on your socio-cultural influences, sports psychology and health, fitness and well-being. Again, this will be a 1 hour paper, exam paper at the end of 2 years, and again equating to 30% of your GCSE. The last 40%, and this is why it's important for you guys to remember that GCSE PE does require you to be practically assessed in your ability to play sport. Now, you will be required to do 2 things. You'll be required to be assessed across 3 sports, and you'll be required to complete a piece of coursework that looks at analysing and evaluating performance. Now, both of those requirements then add up together to give out 80 marks, which then is 40%, which is quite a hefty percentage of the overall grade. Okay, so please bear that in mind when you're putting your preferences down. If you don't currently play sport and you have no intention of picking up a sport and playing and joining a team or performing on a regular basis in competition, it might be that GCSE PE might not necessarily be the right course for you. Okay, but if you are, fantastic. So the specification at a glance, as I said a moment ago in terms of how you assess, so we have individual topics. So we start the course looking at applied anatomy and physiology, and we move on to think about physical training as a component. Now, both of those form the base knowledge and base understanding of this course. And so as we move into paper 2, we start looking at psychology and socio-cultural influences, which is like the history and contemporary issues associated with sport. The first paper kind of gives us a good basis for that. For the practical side, you'll be assessed in 1 team sport, 1 individual sport, and then another one of the other. Okay, so you might be someone that plays badminton outside school, and you might also play hockey. If you do, that's 2 of your sports list off. We will be obviously doing sports within PE as well. So we tend to look at sports like handball, hockey, football, badminton, the ones that we have the facilities to be able to provide for you, and they can potentially also be included in your marks. But the higher bands and higher marks are given predominantly for those people that are playing and performing at a high level or a good level on a regular basis outside of school. So if you do want a bit more information about GCSE PE, you can go to the website and you can have a look at the specification. It's following that link. And you can also have a look at the different sports you can be assessed in, because unfortunately there are a few sports or activities that you might think, well, I play X, Y, Z, and they might not be on the list. Okay, so it's worth just checking if you are interested in GCSE PE, but you think your sport might be like a little bit different. Just check first that it is on that list. If you want any more information about the GCSE PE, obviously you can ask any of the PE staff, but the course leader is Miss King, so her email address is shown there. Second option is the OCR Cambridge National Level 1 or 2 Sports Science course. Okay, why you should study this course is more to do with the fact that we can appreciate and learn about how sports science, which is a really quickly growing discipline and subject across the country, underpins all levels of sport. So whether we're talking about PE or sport in a school setting, right up to elite sport level, sports science underpins everything we do. And we'll learn about anatomy and physiology of the body, how to prevent injury, how to improve personal fitness through appropriate training, and the role of technology in improving performance. Now, you should choose this course if you have an interest in exercise, but don't perhaps actively play any sport on a regular basis outside of school and have no intention of picking up a sport. So it might be that you really enjoy PE, you would like to learn more about it, but maybe you don't necessarily have a sport that you can perform in on a regular basis to get a nice high mark. So where sports science can take you, so it can again lead you on to A-level or college. It can also lay the foundations for a number of different careers where sports science is essential, so things like a sports coach, a personal trainer, a PE teacher, a sports journalist, a leisure manager, and so on. And how you'll be assessed in sports science is 4 units in total, and each of these units is worth 25%. So you do 2 units in year 10 and you'll do 2 units in year 11. The RO41 unit is the only one that's assessed via an exam paper, which is completed in the first half of year 10, and then we kind of get the exam done, banked, and then the rest of everything else is focused on coursework. And each of those coursework units has 4 learning aims, and each of those learning aims equates to an assignment that you will complete to then build your marks for that unit. RO42 is based on training, and that's where you'll be looking at putting together a training program, so hopefully you'll be familiar with that based on the activities you're doing in PE currently. RO43 is about looking at body's responses to exercise, and RO46 is focused around technology in sport. So for the first unit in the exam, you're going to be looking at how injury occurs in sport and how you can prevent and respond to injuries in sport. For the second unit, you're going to learn about the different principles of training, components of fitness and training methods, and be able to conduct fitness tests and develop a program. For the third unit, we're looking at key components of anatomy and physiology, and then looking at assessing the short and long-term effects of exercise. And in the final unit, it's looking at how technology is used in sport and being able to assess the positive and negative effects it has both on the sport, the performer and the spectators. So if that sounds like I said, your street, you can find out a bit more information if you want to by again going to the specification. But it's important to obviously bear in mind that both courses, both GCSE and sports science, both comprise of theoretical content as well as practical lessons, okay? But the theoretical content does mean that obviously we have classroom-based lessons, okay? Not all of our lessons are going to be practical, and we are required to complete written work. In practical lessons themselves, in sports science, we'll be including things like completing your fitness tests, training programs, and so on, okay? But remember that for both courses, if you're thinking that the theory side, oh, I don't want to sit in a classroom, you still obviously do have your 2 hours of core PE every week, as well as your hours that are for sports science or GCSE PE. More information about this course, then Miss Pell is the course leader, and again you can speak to any of your PE teachers. That brings me to an end of this presentation. I hope you found it interesting. Obviously if you do have any further questions, feel free to contact either Miss Pell, Miss King, myself, or any other member of the PE team, and we'll be able to help you and advise you the best we can.